Lima, the capital of Peru, is a really exciting city with lots of history and culture. In the middle of it all is the Historic Centre of Lima, a place protected by UNESCO that tells stories of long ago. A Spanish explorer named Francisco Pizarro started Lima in 1535. It quickly became the most important city for the Spanish in South America, which is why it was called the City of Kings. The historic center was where the Spanish ruled from, and it shaped the politics, society, and culture of the area for hundreds of years. Today, the Historic Centre of Lima shows us the city's rich past. Its cobblestone streets and old buildings whisper stories of explorers, rulers, and revolutions. The center of the city, with its big plazas, impressive churches, and fancy houses, takes you back in time to when Lima was the most important city in the Spanish Americas. The Historic Centre of Lima is a cool mix of old and new. You'll see old ruins next to modern skyscrapers and traditional markets buzzing next to trendy cafes. This mix is what makes Lima's historic center so special. It's a place where the past isn't just remembered, it's celebrated. It's where history meets modern life. The Historic Centre of Lima became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988. It's full of amazing buildings, important historical places, and cultural experiences. UNESCO chose it because it's so valuable and important to protect for the future. The Historic Centre of Lima, with its well-preserved colonial buildings, large plazas, and many churches and monasteries, gives us a look into the city's past and how it changed. From the Grand Plaza Mayor to the Cathedral of Lima, every landmark has centuries of stories to tell. As we explore Lima's historic center, we'll discover the stories behind these landmarks, learning about their architecture and the historical events that happened there. Come with us on a journey through time as we explore the Historic Centre of Lima. It's a place where the past isn't just remembered, it's celebrated. It's where the stories of the past meet the energy of today. Let's go on an adventure through the heart of this exciting city, uncovering the secrets hidden within its streets and old buildings. In 1535, Francisco Pizarro founded Lima near the Rimac River. The location offered water, farmland, and trade routes. Pizarro named it Ciudad de los Reyes, or City of Kings. The name Lima comes from the Quechua word Rimac. The Plaza Mayor became the city's center. Streets were laid out in a grid pattern. Despite challenges, Lima grew as a Spanish power center. Silver from Potosi mines made Lima wealthy. Merchants and adventurers flocked to the city. Lima's location and wealth made it a major colonial center. It connected silver mines with Spain and the world. Ships sailed from El Callao, bringing European goods back. Trade helped Lima grow, attracting diverse people. Spanish officials, merchants, and church leaders came for wealth. Enslaved Africans and indigenous people sought work. The Spanish started big building projects. Government buildings, churches, and houses were built. These buildings showed Spanish wealth and power. The Catholic Church shaped Lima's culture. Monasteries, convents, and churches were built. These places became centers of learning and art. Lima was the main city of the Viceroyalty of Peru, extending its power across South America. The Viceroy ruled over a vast area, making Lima a political and social hub. The city's elite showcased their wealth through grand celebrations and parades. However, inequality was rampant, fueling the independence movement in the 1800s. Lima's historic center shows us the city's rich colonial past. Its buildings are a fascinating mix of European styles and indigenous influences. This unique blend, shaped by local materials and the artistic ideas of both Spanish architects and indigenous craftspeople, created a special architectural style that defines the city's historic center. The Spanish, arriving in the 1500s, brought their own architectural traditions, especially the Grand Baroque style and the later elegant Neoclassical style. But the realities of this new land, with its earthquakes and lots of adobe and wood, meant they had to change and adapt their designs. Indigenous craftspeople, skilled in their own building techniques, were very important in making the European designs a reality. They used local knowledge like quinca, a traditional building material made from cane and mud, which was very strong against earthquakes. You can see this mix of styles in the city's many churches, convents, and palaces. The detailed carvings on the wooden balconies called miradores show a blend of European and indigenous art. These balconies, a special feature of Lima's colonial architecture, provided shade and fresh air, and were also great spots for watching the busy street life. The Spanish Baroque style, popular in the 1600s and early 1700s, had a big impact on Lima's architecture. Known for being fancy, dramatic, and highly decorated, Baroque architecture became a symbol of the Catholic Church's power and the Spanish Empire's wealth. Churches like the San Francisco Basilica and the Church of La Merced are great examples of the Baroque style. Their fronts are covered with elaborate carvings, spiraling columns, and decorated niches with statues of saints. The insides are just as impressive, with gold-covered altars, painted ceilings, and dramatic light and shadow. The Baroque style was also used for non-religious buildings, like the Torre Tagle Palace, a beautiful example of a colonial mansion. Built in the 1700s, the palace has a grand carved stone entrance, intricate iron balconies, and a central courtyard with a Moorish-style fountain. Baroque architecture wasn't just about looking impressive. The grandeur of churches and palaces was meant to inspire awe and respect, showing the church's authority and the social hierarchy of colonial society. The detailed decorations, often showing scenes from the Bible and religious figures, reminded people of the church's teachings and the importance of faith. By the late 1700s, Neoclassicism became popular in Europe and its colonies. Inspired by ancient Greece and Rome, it focused on order, symmetry, and simplicity. Reflecting Enlightenment ideals, it emphasized reason and classical ideals. In Lima, grand civic buildings and public spaces adopted Neoclassicism. The government palace, built in the late 1800s, exemplifies this style. Its facade, with a colonnaded portico and triangular pediment, resembles a Roman temple. Plaza Mayor, Lima's heart, also received a neoclassical makeover. Redesigned with formal gardens, fountains, and statues, it exudes order and harmony. Neoclassical architecture contrasted with the ornate Baroque style. Its simple elegance and symmetry mirrored the changing political and social landscape. Enlightenment ideals and the desire for independence led to a rational aesthetic. This shift from Baroque to neoclassical shows Lima's evolution, embracing new ideas. The Historic Centre showcases this journey, blending Spanish colonial influence with Lima's unique character. In the very center of Lima's historic center is the Plaza Mayor, a large open space that has seen centuries of Peruvian history. Created by Pizarro in 1535, this plaza has been the city's main meeting place, a stage for celebrations and important announcements. Surrounded by colonial buildings, including the Cathedral of Lima and the government palace, the Plaza Mayor feels grand and elegant. Its central bronze fountain from the 1600s is a focal point for all the activity in the square. Throughout history, the Plaza Mayor has been the site of important events, from bullfights to declarations of independence. Pizarro's remains were buried here, and in 1821, General José de San Martin declared Peru's independence from Spain here. Today, the Plaza Mayor is still a busy hub, where locals and tourists experience the city's history and energy. Street vendors, musicians, and shoe shiners work with the backdrop of the city's colonial past. Whether lit by sunset or night lights, the Plaza Mayor shows the enduring spirit of Lima, echoing history through the centuries. The Cathedral of Lima, a magnificent symbol of the Catholic faith in Peru, towers over the Plaza Mayor. Built in 1535, Pizarro laid the first stone. Earthquakes caused damage, leading to many rebuilds. The facade, finished in 1758, mixes architectural styles. Renaissance, Baroque, and neoclassical designs coexist. Inside high ceilings, stained glass windows, and ornate altars. The tomb of Francisco Pizarro is a notable treasure. The museum showcases religious art and historical objects. The cathedral remains a place of worship and community. Daily masses and services continue to draw people. Church bells ring across the historic center, a beacon of faith. Across from the Cathedral of Lima, on the other side of the Plaza Mayor, is the government palace, a symbol of Peru's political power since the viceroyalty. Originally built in the 1500s, the palace has changed a lot over the years, reflecting the ups and downs of history. The current palace, rebuilt in the early 1900s, is neoclassical in design. Inside, murals show important moments in Peruvian history. The government palace isn't just an old building, it's where the Peruvian government works. Every day, the changing of the guard ceremony attracts crowds of locals and tourists. As the sun sets, the government palace, lit up against the darkening sky, reminds us of the lasting importance of power and government in this historic city. The Historic Centre of Lima isn't just a museum, it's a vibrant mix of history, culture, and everyday life. The city centre is full of energy, showing the enduring spirit of its people and their rich traditions. The streets come alive with religious processions, their rhythms echoing ancient beliefs and rituals. During Holy Week, the streets become like outdoor theatres, where the story of Jesus' suffering is shown in a dramatic display of faith. Large floats decorated with life-sized figures, showing scenes from the Bible, are carried through the streets, accompanied by brass bands and chanting. You can feel the excitement as the procession gets closer, the smell of incense mixing with the aroma of street food. Families watch from balconies, their faces lit by candlelight, while others kneel in prayer as the sacred images pass by. These processions are more than just religious shows. They are a deep part of the community, a connection to the city's colonial past and the power of faith. They show how strong traditions are, passed down through generations, making sure that the stories of the past are still alive today. The Historic Centre of Lima shows the city's rich and complex cultural heritage, a vibrant mix of indigenous traditions, Spanish colonial influence, and the contributions of immigrants who came later. This mix of cultures can be seen in the city's architecture, food, music, and its very spirit. You can hear Andean flutes and drums in the streets, their melodies reminding us of the indigenous cultures that were here long before the Spanish arrived. These ancient rhythms mix with Spanish guitar and Afro-Peruvian percussion, creating a musical landscape as diverse and vibrant as the city itself. The smells of traditional Peruvian food, a delicious mix of indigenous ingredients and Spanish cooking styles, come from street food stalls and family restaurants. The scent of ceviche, marinated seafood, mixes with the smoky smell of anticuchos, grilled beef heart skewers, a popular street food with roots in pre-Columbian times. This mix of cultures isn't just something from the past, it's a living reality that shapes the daily lives of Lima's residents and gives the city its unique character. It shows how the city embraces diversity, blends old and new, and creates something special. Lima's historic center is not just beautiful to look at, it's also a food lover's dream. The city's rich food heritage, a delicious mix of indigenous ingredients and Spanish cooking, is everywhere in the many restaurants, cafes, and street food stalls in the cobblestone streets. From simple street vendors selling hot bowls of ají de gallina, a creamy chicken stew, to fancy restaurants serving modern versions of traditional Peruvian dishes, Lima's historic center has something for everyone. You can't visit Lima without trying its famous ceviche. Fresh seafood, marinated in citrus juices, peppers, and cilantro, shows how close the city is to the Pacific Ocean and the culinary skills of its people. If you like sweets, the historic center has lots of traditional desserts, many from the colonial era. Try turrón de Doña Pepa, a colorful nougat cake, or picarones, pumpkin and sweet potato fritters with syrup. Lima's historic center is a food melting pot, a place where the tastes of the past mix with the innovations of today, creating a food experience that is both truly Peruvian and totally unique. The Historic Centre of Lima shows how powerful the past can be, a place where history comes alive. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this amazing collection of buildings, historical landmarks, and cultural experiences gives us a look into the soul of a city shaped by conquest, colonialism, and the strength of its people. Walking through the cobblestone streets feels like stepping back in time. You're surrounded by grand Spanish Baroque buildings, intricate carvings on wooden balconies, and centuries-old churches and palaces. Every building has stories to tell of a time long ago, of rulers and revolutionaries, of artists and craftspeople, of the many lives that have shaped this city. Protecting this irreplaceable heritage is difficult. Earthquakes have repeatedly damaged the city, but every time Lima has rebuilt, showing how committed it is to protecting its past. Dedicated people, organizations, and government institutions have worked hard to preserve the historic center. Restoration projects bring crumbling facades back to life, while museums and cultural centers show us the city's rich history and artistic traditions. Like many historic city centers, Lima's historic center has to balance preserving the past with the needs of a modern, growing city. Urbanization, pollution, and social inequality are constant threats to this UNESCO World Heritage Site. Traffic congestion, because Lima is growing so much, damages the old buildings, their facades blackened by exhaust. Sometimes the excitement of new things makes people forget the value of the past, leading to old buildings being demolished or replaced with modern ones that don't fit in. But even with these challenges, there are inspiring stories of success and renewal. Community projects, driven by pride in their heritage, have encouraged residents to protect and revitalize their neighborhoods. Local businesses, seeing the cultural and economic value of a well-preserved historic center, are investing in restoration and sustainable tourism. The fight to preserve Lima's historic center isn't just about saving old buildings. It's about protecting the soul of a city, its stories, and the identity it gives its people. It's about making sure future generations can still see the grandeur of the Plaza Mayor, find peace in the churches, and be inspired by the strength of a city that has overcome so many challenges. As the sun sets over Lima, shining on the colonial buildings of the historic center, you can't help but feel amazed by the lasting legacy of this incredible place. The City of Kings, once the most important city for the Spanish in South America, has become a vibrant metropolis, but its historic center still reminds us of its past. The Historic Centre of Lima isn't just a museum, it's a living testament to the strength of culture and the human spirit. It's a place where history meets modern life, where the stories of explorers and rulers mix with the hopes of today's Limeños. As we've walked through its streets, explored its landmarks, and learned about its history, we've discovered a story of conquest, colonialism, resilience, and hope. We've seen the lasting legacy of Spanish Baroque architecture, the vibrant mix of cultures, and the unwavering spirit of people determined to preserve their heritage. The Historic Centre of Lima is a beacon, reminding us to protect our shared past, not just because it's beautiful, but for the stories it tells, the lessons it teaches, and the inspiration it gives us for the future. It reminds us that we are all connected to something bigger than ourselves, to a story that stretches back through time and forward into the unknown.